for the past 6 years, I have been passionate about community building. I took some time off from work when I had my first child to do a little bit of soul searching, to spend some time with him, and then that gap of employment. And this is why I always tell clients and job seekers that, and even hiring managers, companies, that companies really need to appreciate job seekers when they do have that gap in employment, because a lot of soul searching comes around these times. And if I didn't have that year and a half off from work, I wouldn't have realized the passion I have for mentoring and coaching people and building community. So, long story short, because of that time off, I was able to transition into a sales background into the world of recruiting. And so for the past 5, 6 years, I have been working, my blend is between agency recruiting to working for great companies as a contractor for Google. Was there about for a year and a half, and then was able to have an amazing opportunity to work at Wish as a senior recruiter. And that's what actually gave me a really good exposure to the startup life and the startup world, which I really enjoyed. But because of the pandemic, and because of the situation that we're in, I was one of the millions and millions of people that lost their jobs because of COVID back in April. So I took that as an opportunity. I didn't really want to go back to work right away just because I have two children at home. And with the whole virtual learning and all that situation, it can be definitely challenging as a full-time employee. And I took that time to really discover what I wanted to do next. And I've always wanted to be a career coach. Never had the time. So I, was kind of doing my own thing. I did what I did best as a recruiter after I lost my job. I was interviewing people within my community, asking them how their experience has been with social distancing. How has this pandemic impacted their business if they're a business owner? Interviewed people within the tech industry, asking them, what advice would you give job seekers? And then I just started getting calls and emails and text messages from people within my own network saying, June, can you help me with my resume? I'm interviewing at this company. Can you interview prep me? Can you help me with my LinkedIn profile? And I was always the go-to person within my own little micro community as the person to go to for anything career related. So then that's when I had my aha moment. Like, this is the time for me to blend all my passions of community building, career, storytelling, everything that I've been always wanting to do. And now I'm doing it because I just kind of listened to what my community was asking for me. And then I said, this is a clear sign that I need to launch a business. The biggest thing and advice I could give to anyone looking for a new job, or has lost their job, or looking to pivot into a new career, take the time to really invest in yourself. And especially too, if you're thinking of changing different industries, like, say, I mean, one of the clients I'm working with is coming from a hospitality background and has been in the industry for 15 years. Obviously, we're not going back to normal anytime soon. So this is our new normal. So if you're thinking of pivoting, really research what the in-demand roles are right now. For example, based on my research and reading different articles, I know that there is a need for in-demand roles for anything within digital marketing. So what I always say to job seekers and to my clients, take the time to research and see what roles interest you, and say if there's any gaps in your technical skills, invest in yourself by taking courses online, certifications, as well as, reaching out to your network on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing platform for you to really get in front of thought leaders and hiring managers and recruiters if you really invest in your personal brand. So my biggest tip is invest in yourself, work on your personal brand, know your why, and optimize your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you use JobScan to help you really tailor your resume to fit each position that you're applying for. Because at the end of the day, as a job seeker, you want to think of yourself as a marketer, and you want to tailor your approach to the specific audience that you are trying to attract. It's definitely going to be still very competitive. So that's why it's really important for job seekers to really elevate their personal brand to stand out amongst the competition. There's this whole thing with like entrepreneurs doing like social selling, right? With social media. Same concept goes for job seekers. Really utilize social media platforms like LinkedIn to network with people. Follow, like, for example, I have clients that want to break into tech. So what I always kind of share advice is utilize LinkedIn to connect with the hiring managers, recruiters, or even people that work in the specific industries or departments that you want to work in, and start engaging in their content. So I know that there's like a huge thing with personal branding, if because that's going to really set you apart as a job seeker, your unique skills, how you market yourself online, and your digital presence. Because I have been on the other side, on the front lines as a recruiter, and I've worked with hiring managers where it's automatic for them to look at a resume, but I carry they always ask me, can I see their LinkedIn profile? What do they look? What does it look like? Just because LinkedIn, it's just more visually stimulating. It's more compelling. You can understand like the trajectory. It's just easy to read. And it's a great way for candidates to utilize like the feature section where they could actually write self-published articles about things that they're passionate about, also showcase any passion projects that they're volunteering. So that's probably what I see is people like job seekers really investing in developing their personal brand and finding their voice and trying to come up with creative ways to stand out other than just doing a cover letter. I've worked with clients and I've known people too who've created pitch decks to pitch themselves for companies. Um, so yeah. I usually have a really good idea of what I want my content strategy to be for the week, but I'm always serving my community through poll posts. But my thought process is I'm always trying to serve my community by offering advice. What would June want to hear as a job seeker 5, 6 years ago? Right. So my thought process is like, is it going to be easy for them to digest because I have a ton of information to share? Is it going to be easy to digest? Is it going to be actionable? Like I always try to end my posts with some kind of like call to action or something that's going to motivate them to either reach out to someone to network with on LinkedIn or apply for that job or use my recommendations for my resume tips to apply on your own resume. So usually my thought process is this something that is needed for job seekers? Why is it needed? And how can I help them? It's kind of like in a serving mode, a serving thought process and making sure that is easy to understand, digestible, compelling, engaging, and always some kind of action towards the very end. I'm very more like how to, and those are the posts that do really well. Is like this is how you do this. This is how you do your resume. This is how you network. This is how you prep for interviews. But my blend of content is usually I do more videos and text posts, and as well as like graphics. But I'm always trying to really listen to what my community wants to see. I think it's just the video. I think that the videos, it's something about videos really helps you connect with your audience and in your community. I also have been incorporating lives in my weekly content. So I do 2 weekly lives with people in the industry, asking them, what kind of career advice would you give my community? But yeah, I think it's that's the answer is just like I do a blend of video. I also talk a lot about my passions just because I preach this all over LinkedIn and other interviews. Companies hire people, not robots. It's okay to talk about your passions, your hobbies on LinkedIn. Working on the front lines, working with these tech companies, hiring managers are interviewing you, yes, to see if you are experienced for the role, if you have the technical skills. But as far as job searching trends goes and hiring trends, companies are hiring people that have that entrepreneur mindset because we're in the situation that we're in. They want to see if you are able to thrive in ambiguity, are able to pivot, come up with new ideas, and you do this by learning new things, doing things that you love. Like I love to dance. I love to give back and volunteer. And these are the things that you should be also talking about in your interviews as well as on LinkedIn. And it's okay to talk about things like this because it's part of who you are as a person, personally and professionally. The biggest thing for anyone out there that is going to start a job search, their job search is work on your mindset first. And if you lost your job, if you got laid off, really take the time to deal with the emotions of losing that job and having that job loss, just because you want to really work on your mindset and overcoming things like those limiting beliefs that's holding you back from showing up on LinkedIn or even applying for that job, and understand where your strengths and superpowers lay in. Because once you identify your unique skills, you're able to brand yourself on LinkedIn and on your resume as well. And you'll be able to show up confidently in interviews as well as networking chats. Just because I just work with so many people when I'm on these discovery calls and they're asking me for help, and I'm like, well, what's going on? And they lack so much self-confidence. And that's the first thing that's really going to hold you back, is having those mind blocks. Where if you really take the time to really do some soul searching and discovering your strengths and superpowers and feel confident about what you could bring to the companies that you're interviewing for, then you'll feel really confident in your job search. I think that's the really thing. The biggest thing advice I could share too is work on your mindset first before you start putting yourself out there, because there's going to be tons of rejection emails. You may not get callbacks from recruiters. You may not get an accepted request from a person that you want to reach out to LinkedIn, but that's okay because there's 700 million people on LinkedIn. Over that, actually, for over 700 million people on LinkedIn.